welcome to the Tibbo Talk podcast. We're once again continuing through the indie rock music scene, and I'm delighted to be joined by Matt Ahwal, the lead vocalist of the band Fond of Rudy. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. It is great to have you on and have another really promising upcoming band such as yourself speaking with us for another episode. So yeah, to kick us off, really, I'd like to know, just give us a brief overview of the band that you're in.
All right, yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me along. Yeah, nice to be here. So yeah, we are Fond of Rudy. We make alternative indie pop music, influences drawn from like 80s music, 1975 as your t-shirt is. Lots of bands like similar to us, like Fickle Friends, Two Door Cinema Club, big influence of ours, and yeah, just lots of different old bands as well.
That's great. I'm a massive indie rock fan, and obviously some of the bands you mentioned there, including Two Door Cinema Club, are like personal favorites of mine as well. So um, that's excellent. So where did it all start for you? Like right back at the beginning, how did the band come about?
So basically, when I was at university, I just before then I only started to learn guitar before I was predominantly based on drums.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was kind of just messing around at university of like university band, and then my friends kind of came together. We started making some music. We're like, oh, maybe let's give this band stuff a go. And then yeah, basically kind of picked up more members, like the guitarist knew the bassist, who knew the drummer, and then it kind of came together like that, creating demos in a garage, and then just went from there really. So like your proper like bedroom demos.
Proper like real where all the best artists start, like right from the very scratch, like just putting a few strings together in a bedroom or something. It's like that. And your producer had a big role in sort of like your rise to fame, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So Martin basically evolved our sound, so we could go with him to like to the sessions with like these really shoddy demos that I put together with these really, really basic Logic sounds. And he'd be like, oh, I can hear what you're trying to do there. Let me, let me take it into my world, develop it a little bit. And then he send
Mm.
it back to us or do it in like 10 minutes. And we'd be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's
I was going to say you released your first single, which is titled One in 2016.
yeah.
Was there anything in particular that helped you towards releasing that?
I think as you do, you get lots of influence from past relationships and stuff. So just had a lot to write about. Kind of got that down from my head into a computer, and then we kind of built the tracks from there.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was like, yeah, as you say, that was EP number one.
Mm.
And we're just releasing EP2 number two,
Yeah,
but we'll get
yeah. Definitely, yeah. We'll get onto that a bit later on, but as you said, like I think just after you've released one, it sort of then pieces together with all the rest of them, just releasing in consecutive, which I think you did really well. And I'm a big fan of your music. It is very similar to sort of like a big kind of combination of loads of different indie artists, which people released like all together, like Inhaler, Two Door Cinema Club, 1985, all mashed together. It's really promising and really good. So. Obviously, you've done plenty of shows and gigs. I mean, last summer was quite huge for you. You did a few shows in the capital and down in Brighton, both two significant places in the UK where kind of you grew up and where you kind of the band decided to grow. What was the standout for you last summer? Like, what was the standout gig?
I probably have to say two, actually, two gigs that we did. So one would be our headline show in Brighton, which we actually sold out, and that's our first like. Obviously, we've had the problems with COVID, everyone getting back into the music, like live gig scene. So for us to sell out that show was quite a big moment for us to come back because we'd had a couple of years break naturally because of COVID, couldn't practice, and then we used that time to write some songs. And then yeah, we came back, did that as our first gig back, and it sold out, and that was incredible to be honest. So
Mm. Yeah, that sounds like a huge kind of turning point for the band as well, especially after the lows of COVID. Like, did the COVID kind of affect you guys as a band? As you said, you obviously used the time to write songs, but did it have any other effect on you guys as a band?
I guess I think a lot of bands that we knew as well, they kind of started ducking out, and they kind of like had to let the music go because they'd they had to get jobs, like full-time jobs, and couldn't have the time to do the stuff anymore. So, but we managed to kind of get through it. But we just, how do we get through it? But basically, we just did our recordings all together, but remotely, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
sort of like when everyone was using something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams to kind of like communicate. It was that weird period of time.
Yeah, so we kind of did that, and we kind of stuck at it. And through the whole lockdown period, I was writing songs,
Mm.
sending them to Ross, our guitarist, and he was kind of putting his parts on it. And then the other one put their part, and then somehow it came together, even though it's remote. But, and that's, yeah, that's how our second EP came together, really.
Nice. Nice. And was there one in particular which stood out for you, which you kind of thought this is the best of the bunch?
Um, of course, I'm going to say the new single that's not been released yet, just to give it a
Mm.
bit more hype. That one kind of has a lot of meaning behind it. It's called
Mm.
Infatuation, and that's
Okay.
released next. And How Do I Delete You, I think, was quite a big one because
Yeah,
it's
that's a huge track. Yeah.
quite epic.
Mm.
And again, that was all done remotely, so there's no like studio recording in that. So to get it that big was quite a nice result of.
Yeah, definitely. It's got like over 100, 11, no, over like 11K streams now on Spotify, which is pretty huge for a track which is constructed so like uniquely
Yeah.
over Zoom and stuff. So, I think what would you say is one thing that for your band which makes you stand out compared to all the other indie rock bands that are out there? It's a difficult question, I know, but
That is a difficult question. I'd probably say, I think kind of similar to other bands, but I think you've hit the nail on the head that we kind of vary between different styles. Like we take a lot of influences from other bands.
mm,
And I think a lot of our songs don't really sound similar. Like you'll hear How Do I Delete You? And then you'll hear Notes, and then you hear
mm,
22, and then you'll hear like the next track, and they're all kind of
mm,
the same band, but different genres. They kind of
yeah.
match all over the place.
Yeah, all the
Um,
best bands sort of like all kind of like have different genres and like different sounding tracks. That you got some of the slower tracks and you got some of like the more of the upbeat poppy ones. So you mentioned already some of the artists which you kind of idolize and stuff. Are there any others which you kind of look up to and think this is what who I want to the band I want to become?
of course, I'm going to say 1975 because they're just a huge band. They do everything
Of course,
amazing,
of course.
and the way they kind of transcend genres and eras, like they go completely different places with each album, which I find really interesting. And then I'm going to go back to someone like Wham. Like we love Wham.
Yeah, they're a great band.
We love pop music, so yeah, Wham I think would be a great example, and they went quite like worldwide famous, to be honest. So
Yeah, you mentioned some of the influences you take from like the 80s and 90s sort of music. Is that have you seen that's kind of becoming a bit more popular nowadays again? It's kind of like having some sort of resurgence.
yeah, I think within like the last 5 years or so, definitely the 80s music is kind of kicked back in. But I think people are trying to make it a bit more contemporary,
Mm,
which we're trying to do with our music. But I love the old 80s music as well. I
yeah,
like to listen to that on repeat, like on a
mm,
Friday or Saturday. So
absolutely. I guess it kind of comes back to the whole like make it like using that as like a starting point to kind of mix your own style in, would you say?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think so. If you listen to like one of our tracks, Imagination, if you hear the synth bass and the synth in that track, and then we kind of tried to make that contemporary and bring it into this era. But that mixes the two styles really well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It is a great sort of mix you have, and it's really impressive. And you've done it really well. Um, so you obviously your most recent release is Notes. It's a single from your upcoming EP, which we'll get onto in a bit. How's the overall reaction to that track been so far?
To note, actually surprisingly positive. This was probably the one track out of the whole EP that we were kind of like, we like it. Obviously, we really like it as a
Mm,
band. It's quite difficult to play live, but we're kind of like just throw it out because it's so different to everything else that we've
mm,
done. But yeah, the reaction's been really positive, and everyone's kind of picked up on the fact that it's something that's not usual for our style, but seems to work.
Yeah, it works quite well, I assume, and obviously it shows once again that you're branching out to like another genre, which is excellent to see. And how's the reaction been to like the announcement of your new EP in general?
Yeah, pretty good. Like, I think because we were away for so long, our kind of fan base, not that they forget you, but they think, like you're at the back of their mind. And then once we put that out, everyone was like, oh my God, they're releasing music again. They're playing gigs. And it's been like, yeah, quite nice reaction to see the response and the interactions building up again, which had been quite low, but yeah, coming back high is yeah,
Mm.
really nice to
Yeah,
see.
you can sort of call it like a mini hiatus, really, like we've seen Catfish and the Bottlemen do, but they've obviously somehow returned and are headlining Reading Festival this summer, which is really exciting. Do we reckon we'll see you on any of the festival headlining like stages anytime soon?
Well, hopefully we've got to, as I say, we're kind of building it back up again to because we kind of got to go back 3 steps because of COVID, and then we've
Yeah,
done one kind of come back. But yeah, hopefully we'll get on some
nice.
festival slots for sure.
Yeah, and onto the more exciting news with your EP as we mentioned already. Tell us a bit more about the EP in general. What can people like expect from you?
Yeah, so we've released 3 songs of that already. So that's How Do I Delete You, Notes, and 22. It's a 5-track EP, and it's kind of a continuation on from one EP. So one, two. We wanted to release it a long time ago, but obviously things got in the way. But we finally got round to perfecting everything we wanted from it, and feel like it's a good time to get it out and get the ball rolling again. So
Mm.
I guess you can expect the unexpected in it because it's all different genres. So
Yeah, expect the unexpected.
yes,
That's one thing to take from it, and I guess we can assume that your third EP will be called Three from that as well.
well, probably unless we go like a language, call it like
All
Tres
the
or
best sequence, yeah.
that.
What's your favorite track off the EP if you had to choose one?
I'm going to go with Infatuation.
Mm.
Again, like I said, that one has quite a lot of meaning.
Yeah,
The song, it's taken a while to come to prominence, like get the final product, but I feel like that one is probably my favorite. Obviously, I really like the others as well, but yeah, I think that one's probably the
yeah.
top one.
Nice, nice. And in light of the your new EP, you've obviously got 2 launch shows in Brighton and London at the end of March, which is very exciting. I'm sure your fans will be buzzing for to come along to. Um, so what other sort of shows do you guys have planned for the rest of this year?
So we haven't got anything in the diary yet, but so we're working with a couple of promoters and basically we should have a couple of shows like further up north. Last year, that's what I was going to say actually. Last year we played a show, a really good, cool festival called Belladrum Tartan Heart Music Festival. It's way, way up in Inverness. But that festival was wicked. They treated us really well. Really nice stage, really nice slot. And hopefully we should be playing like somewhere around there again.
Mm,
As you said, a couple more festival slots. Hopefully we'll come in and yeah, we kind of hopefully should get round to touring again, the UK again. So
nice.
just keep an eye out for those announcements, I
Yeah,
guess.
definitely will. And we could see you maybe supporting another act as well, because I know there's plenty of like bigger artists out there that like to kind of use their supporting slots as an opportunity to kind of promote smaller bands like yourself. So is that something you guys would be interested in doing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we're kind of in the works of trying to plan stuff like that at the moment,
Mm.
contacting people. And our TikTok recently, we've been doing like this little guess the song before the lead guitar comes in on our TikTok. If you haven't
Oh,
seen
nice.
it, we had a couple of interactions from like bands like Circa Waves and can't remember what the other ones were, a couple of other ones, and we
Mm.
were kind of messaging them saying like, "Oh, you listen to the stuff. Check out our music if you need a support band." So you
Yeah.
never know what can happen, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Circle Waves on itself is quite a kind of a big starting point. They're certainly a band I'm a big fan of, and I've seen at a music festival before. So they're an excellent starting point. And as you said, I think your social media presence is kind of like a big, like, it's a massive help when it comes to kind of your growth in general. Have you found that's the case?
Yeah, I think so. When you have that kind of presence on social media, it gives fans and listeners kind of the idea of who you are already. They can just see you. You don't have to like search for you. You don't have to go too far into the depths of the internet to look for you. If you're just there, you have that presence. Then they'll obviously go onto the music next, and then the two go together and kind of put you in a good light straight away.
Yeah, we've seen plenty. I've seen personally plenty of bands that obviously on social media, and they're all kind of like they're doing the sorts of things that are like, do you like this such and such and such? Then I think you should listen to us, or just kind of like singing their own songs or pretending they're certain other people. So it seems to be a way that lots of upcoming bands such as yourselves kind of do like kind of promote yourselves, which I think is an excellent starting point. Which I think is it's great, really. What is another difficult question for you? What is one message you can give to people listening to this podcast to encourage you to give Fond of Rudy a follow?
I guess probably go back to the point of expect the unexpected. We kind of like to put a lot of different music out, but our live shows as well, we give it everything. We give it 110% energy. And if you do come to a live show, you'll see that. And hopefully you'll go away singing one of the songs after you leave.
Nice.
So yeah, probably the message is give us a listen, and hopefully it will be stuck in your head. You can, write to us afterwards, 2 weeks later saying, okay, well, you're right, that song is stuck in my head. So
nice. And from any of the live shows you've done in the past, have there been any notable moments between you and the band, maybe like, or give us a little bit of a behind the scenes insight? Have there been any like funny moments, any notable moments for you, like behind the scenes at the gigs?
Quite a few, to be honest. I think probably last year at that the festival in Inverness, a nice moment we had was we were kind of looking at each other on stage when there was people like turning up, coming to our slot, and we thought no one was going to be there because we were on at like 1:30. But then these people just started coming in, and we were like looked at each other and we were like, okay, right, now we got to perform because there's actually people here. And that was kind of like a nice moment where we were like, we've driven all this way, let's do it. That was quite cool. And then lots of funny moments. Like I remember one time my Monzo fell out of my pocket. I don't know why it was there. The song was about to start, and I was like, right, this song is dedicated to my Monzo on the floor. And everyone was just like, what? Why? Just
It works. You could write a song lyric about it in the future for sure. Dropping the Monzo card on the stage. It happens. It just reminds me of Boardmasters last year when Liam Gallagher dedicated one of his songs to a noodle van at the back of like the field. Very iconic moment. So yeah, obviously you've got lots coming up. You've got lots of singles on the way. Obviously, a new EP comes out in March. And obviously for anyone listening, you're a very promising band, very on the upcoming scene, and hopefully you can go all the way. You've got a lot of ambition behind you as well, which is really exciting. So for anyone listening, give Fond of Rudy a follow because they deserve all the support they can get. So Matt, is there anything else you'd like to mention, or I haven't asked, or that you'd like to say?
I think we've covered everything. I think probably the main thing is EP out next month. Obviously we appreciate any listen that we get. Any share as well is always useful to us. And the 2 live shows coming up, the tickets are on sale at the moment. They're selling quite quickly now. They've just started to pick up. If people want to come along to that, will be absolutely brilliant. I think that's all we've got to say, really.
Nice. But yeah, honestly, really appreciate your time today. It's been great speaking to you and gaining an insight into another upcoming indie rock band such as yourselves. And to anyone listening, thank you for listening once again. And I'm sure I'll be back with another episode in a not too distant future, because the state of these regular uploads has not been the best. So yeah, thank you for your time, Matt. It's been great speaking to you.
Thanks for having us.